welcome to the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Today we're settling in to explore one of those really strange human things, our deep fascination with gruesome stuff, specifically murder. Why do we love watching true crime?
It's a big question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the drill. That 2021 Saturday Night Live skit where the women sing about loving murder shows when they're alone.
Oh, yeah. Hilarious, because it's true.
So true. And the stats are kind of wild. Apparently, the average American kid watches something like 16,000 murders by age 18. We're just morbidly drawn to the absolute worst human behavior.
It is a huge psychological puzzle, yeah.
Okay.
And the mission for this deep dive really is to unpack that. Because that morbid fascination, it actually reveals this surprising link between fear and curiosity.
Right.
We're going to show you how curiosity can act as this kind of secret doorway out of that chronic anxiety state and right into creativity, that little spark of intrigue. That's what pulls us toward our most inventive selves.
And, you know, if you're currently feeling a bit embarrassed about rubbernecking at an accident scene, or maybe you're hooked on some dark true crime thing, don't be.
Right. Don't be. That curiosity, it's actually evolutionary. Learning about catastrophes, crimes, threats.
Yeah.
It helps us avoid them. Your brain's just trying to gather data, to keep you safe. You came by that fascination, honestly.
Exactly. Fear and curiosity are incredibly close cousins. The really critical step past just simple anxiety, that feeling of dread or worry, is learning to stay put when you face something unfamiliar.
Okay.
And instead of just spiraling into fear, you allow your curiosity to bubble up. And that ascent of curiosity, that's precisely what kicks creativity into gear.
You can actually see this play out in nature, can't you?
Oh, definitely.
Like monkeys encountering a snake, they totally freak out, right? But they don't just run away.
No, they don't. They stare fixedly at the snake. They're gawking, jumping around, hooting. It's like the only thing worse than watching the snake is not watching the snake. You have to track the threat.
Right. You need the data. Or think about deer. There's this example where a bobcat kills a ground squirrel, and you'll often see several deer just bound out of the woods, run towards the tree where the bobcat is, and just stand there, staring.
Yeah,
Okay. Just staring up at the whole scene. It's like this mix of complete horror and, profound fascination.
But wait, isn't that just like basic threat assessment?
Yeah.
How do we separate that intense focus because of fear from actual curiosity? I mean, when a monkey stares at a snake, it's probably not wondering about the snake's dinner plans, right? It's assessing danger.
That's a fantastic question because it really helps define what we call the sweet spot of curiosity. It lies right in that zone between indifference and sheer terror.
The Goldilocks zone.
Exactly, the Goldilocks zone. Think about a swerving car. If it's way down the block, maybe weaving a little, you're indifferent. You barely notice.
Yeah.
If it's suddenly right on top of you, heading straight for you, pure terror, you just react. You run.
Right. No time to be curious.
None. But what if you see that car coming closer? Maybe a bit slowly, but it seems to be steering towards you. Purposefully.
Oh.
You suddenly shift, right? You focus intensely. You're estimating its path, its speed, trying to figure out what is going to happen next. That is the sweet spot. You're fully engaged, intensely curious.
And we actually like that feeling. We seek it out.
We love it. That's why horror movies work, why people pay money to go into haunted houses, why extreme sports like base jumping or, extreme skiing even exist. Humans deliberately look for that place where almost scared to death meets that little comforting thought of, yeah, but I'll probably survive this.
The tragedy, though, is that we're all born as these little curiosity champions. You know, the Nobel winner Leon Letterman, who famously said children are born scientists. They're constantly testing things, breaking things, measuring how stuff falls, asking why, endlessly. We even have this thing, neoteny, that sort of evolutionary eternal childhood mutation.
Right, keeps our brains plastic.
Yeah. It should let us keep that inquisitiveness going forever.
But we don't. Most people lose it. And the fundamental reason, the big culprit, it's anxiety.
Anxiety, okay.
We start worrying about what happens if we get it wrong, if we look stupid. Think about the famous marshmallow challenge. Peter Skillman designed it.
Oh, yeah, the spaghetti tower thing.
That's the one. Teams get spaghetti, tape, string, and one marshmallow. Build the tallest freestanding tower with the marshmallow on top.
And the results were surprising.
Very. Kindergartners won by a country mile, apparently. And the worst performers.
Let me guess. CEOs, lawyers.
Business school students.
Wow. Okay, that is baffling.
Yeah.
Why would highly educated adults do worse than 5-year-olds?
It mostly boiled down to social anxiety. The adults were too worried about establishing a pecking order, who's in charge. They worried about offending a colleague, about looking silly if their idea didn't work. They got bogged down in the process in managing how they approached it all.
So they prioritized looking smart, getting group approval, over just building the tower.
Exactly. They moved slowly, lots of hesitation, subtle jarking for position, left hemisphere biases, you could say.
All the 5-year-olds.
They just dived in. They didn't care who was watching or who was leading. They were just focused on the marshmallow, on the goal. Pure interest.
So somewhere between being a toddler and an adult, we learn to approach new things with this kind of crippling anxiety instead of just wonder.
That's it. Our curiosity sweet spot shrinks. And it shrinks until, for a lot of people, the only real curiosity they can easily access is that passive kind, like watching a murder show and wondering, who killed that poor preacher's wife down in Tennessee?
And that shrinking sweet spot, that leads us to this really crucial distinction someone named Jordan Lippmann made about 2 different types of curiosity.
Exactly. 2 very different flavors. The first one is deprivation curiosity.
Deprivation. Okay, sounds bad.
It often feels bad. It's that worried need to know. It comes from feeling like you lack information you need to be safe or just functional. Like maybe needing to file 7 years of messy financial records, or navigating some impossible bureaucracy, or constantly trying to figure out if your boss approves of you.
Ugh, yes. That's that miserable churning feeling, the anxiety kind of, that constant, what did I miss? What did I screw up? Who's mad at me now? That kind of curiosity just sucks.
It really does. It's like an itch you just can't scratch properly. But then there's the second type, interest curiosity.
That sounds better.
It feels much better. This comes from a genuine wanting to know, what's over that next hill? What happens if I put crayons in the toaster?
Uh-oh. Maybe don't do that one.
Right. Maybe not the toaster. But what happens if you drop Mentos in Diet Coke? That kind of thing. It feels good. Compelling, absorbing.
What I found genuinely startling, though, reading the research for this, was how much societal pressure there seems to be to drop the interest curiosity. One of the articles we looked at described someone getting a brain map diagnosis, and the researcher actually framed their abnormally interest-based nervous system as if it were a treatable disorder.
That's right. It's a striking example. The researcher basically said, look, this person pays more attention to things that interest them than things that don't, and that's not optimal.
Not optimal for what? For society, for work.
Exactly. Not optimal for school, work, or functioning in society was the implication.
It perfectly shows that pressure we feel, doesn't it? To just become a, quote, cog in the great stuff-grabbing engine. We're pushed to tune in only to that anxious deprivation curiosity that makes us productive in a certain way.
We're essentially taught, to abandon our natural sense of wonder because it's not efficient.
But you're saying that interest-based curiosity is actually way more important than that.
Oh, absolutely. It's your most powerful internal navigation tool. Yeah. It's the thing that guides you towards meaningful situations, meaningful work, and helps you solve problems creatively instead of just worrying about them endlessly.
Okay. So if anxiety has kind of let the weeds grow over our neural pathways to wonder, how do we get that interest curiosity back? Let's get practical.
Right. We can start with some simple, almost external techniques. Dr. Judson Brewer, he's a psychiatrist, Yale trained. He suggests using just a single sound.
Just like that.
Just like that. He found saying that one sound can instantly shift your attention. It gives you a little mood boost, and crucially, it helps you explore what you're feeling instead of immediately trying to fix it or push it away.
I like that. It's like hitting a pause button on the anxiety loop.
Exactly. Another simple but powerful trick is just stimulating curiosity by watching creation, watching other people make things.
Like those How It's Made shows.
Precisely. It's evolutionarily interesting to us.
Yeah.
That's why shows like How It's Made are so weirdly captivating, even with zero drama. It just flips on that creative, observational part of the brain.
Okay, those are good starting points. But what about when you're really deep in an anxiety spiral? When just saying, feels impossible?
Right. When you're really stuck, you need a different entry point. You actually need to investigate the anxiety itself, turn your curiosity onto the worry.
And that's where that one question comes in, the one that can still grab our interest even when we're anxious, which is,
how can I feel better? It reframes the situation from a hopeless state to a solvable mystery.
a mystery solved by the kind detective.
Exactly, the kind detective. That represents your core self, that part of you that's already curious, calm, clear, creative, all those good C words. This detective's job is to interrogate your anxious thoughts, but kindly, using a structured method.
Okay, let's walk through it. This borrows from Byron Katie's The Work, right? Step one is question the peace disturber.
Right. You take an anxious statement that you really believe is true in that moment. Let's say, there's not enough stuff for me. You know, that feeling of lack.
Okay, got it. Feels familiar.
So the kind detective steps in and objectively asks, is there any evidence anywhere that this statement might not be 100% true? You just look for tiny bits of counter evidence.
Like what?
Well, like, actually, there seems to be enough oxygen for me right now, and I have a safe place to sit. I have shoes on my feet. And, you know, the love of a good parakeet. Whatever small truth you can find.
The parakeet. Find any exception.
Any exception, then you push it further. Could the extreme opposite actually be true or truer? Like, there's actually too much good stuff for me. Or maybe there's just too much universe for me to handle right now.
I see. That objective questioning starts to break the hold of the anxious thought. It's not about arguing. It's just looking around.
Exactly. It helps your nervous system see a more balanced reality almost immediately. You're dismantling the emotional belief behind the problem, not necessarily fixing the external problem itself right then.
Okay, that's step one. What's step two?
Step two is the lie detector test. This is all about observing your body's physical reaction when you believe that anxious thought.
How does that work?
Well, if you fully believe an untrue, anxiety-provoking statement like, I'm going to fail spectacularly, notice how your body reacts. Usually poorly.
Yeah, tight chest, rapid heartbeat.
Exactly. Muscle tension, maybe shallow breathing, negative moods like sadness or hopelessness start creeping in. That physiological tension, that is your system rejecting the lie, it doesn't feel right because it isn't right, fundamentally.
Okay, and what about if the thought is actually pointing to something true?
Well, a statement that reflects a genuine need or reality, say, I need to file my taxes. If it's true for you, believing it tends to trigger a healthy, maybe slightly energizing impulse to act.
So a true thought leads to useful action, not paralyzing dread.
Generally, yes. The dread comes from the untrue stories we attach to the true thought, like, filing taxes is impossible and I'll definitely mess it up and go to jail. The kind detective helps separate the fact from the fiction.
I love how this turns that inward spiral of dread into an active, outward-ish investigation. And speaking of practical tools, you mentioned one for social anxiety. Toxic social group bingo.
Yes. This one's fun in a dark sort of way.
Okay, lay it on me.
You get a standard 5x5 bingo card matrix, and in the squares, you write down all those irritatingly predictable things that always happen when that specific group gets together.
Oh, I can think of a few. Like Uncle Jerry brings up his latest conspiracy theory.
Perfect. Or Aunt Carol complains about the youth these days. Or Sally subtly insults someone. Whatever the recurring patterns are.
Okay, got my card filled out mentally. Now what?
Now, the goal is not to sit there wincing and clenching your jaw when Uncle Jerry inevitably starts talking about chemtrails.
Right.
The goal is to lean forward mentally or even physically, bingo card at the ready, thinking, okay, Jerry, go on. Oh, please go on. Bring it home.
You're looking for the bingo square.
Exactly. It transforms that feeling of overwhelming dread into active, curious anticipation. It's a massive shift in your internal experience, even if the external situation is the same. You become an observer, a collector of data points for your bingo card.
That's brilliant. It changes the whole dynamic internally. And this kind of shift is actually crucial, isn't it? Because anxiety isn't just unpleasant. It can be genuinely dangerous.
It absolutely can. When anxiety gets really high, it doesn't sharpen our focus the way acute fear might. It often leads to something called inattentional blindness.
Inattentional blindness. What's that?
It's like a dulling of the senses, a narrowing of focus so extreme that you miss obvious things right in front of you because your mental energy is consumed by worry.
Okay. Give me an example.
Well, think about high-stakes situations. A frantic parent may be completely wrapped up worrying about a stressful bill. They might suffer inattentional blindness and completely miss the fact that their toddler has just slipped out the front door.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Or a surgeon may be brooding over some insult a colleague made earlier. They might lose that critical micro-focus and nick a vital nerve. It happens. An air traffic controller lost in anxious thoughts might miss crucial information coming through their headset.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about feeling bad. It has real-world consequences.
Huge consequences. And beyond these high-stakes moments, anxiety routinely destroys relationships and breeds prejudice.
How so?
Research, especially around diversity and inclusion, consistently shows that when our anxiety levels are high, our tendency to other people increases. We lean more heavily on biases against people who seem unfamiliar or different.
We kind of retreat to what feels safe or known.
Exactly. We become less open, less curious about people who aren't like us. You see this reflected in things like the implicit association test, the IAT, which measures unconscious bias.
Right, Malcolm Gladwell wrote about that. Even he, with a black mother, showed a bias.
Yeah, he repeatedly found he had a moderate automatic preference for whites, according to the test. It doesn't necessarily mean he's consciously prejudiced, but it shows how anxiety and ingrained societal biases can unconsciously steer us toward prejudice, pushing us away from connecting with people who are different.
So anxiety literally makes us less open and more biased.
It does. And this, right here, is where interest-based curiosity emerges as the ultimate cure, or at least a very powerful antidote.
How does curiosity fight bias?
Well, think about the work of Valerie Carr, the lawyer and activist. She highlights brain imaging studies showing that you can actually dampen that unconscious fear response we often have towards someone of a different race,
Oh,
simply by prompting the subject to wonder about them. Things as simple as wondering, I wonder what they like to eat for dinner.
just wondering about their dinner. That's enough to change the brain's fear response.
It can be enough to start shifting it, yes.
Hmm.
Because that act of wondering, that genuine interest curiosity, it engages different parts of the brain than the fear center.
It pulls you out of the threat assessment mode and into connection mode.
Exactly. That focus on wondering, that interest curiosity, that present moment awareness, noticing details about others, it relies more on the right hemisphere of the brain, the part associated with creativity, connection, and seeing the bigger picture.
So turning on that childlike wonder, that interest curiosity, it's literally the path towards better connections and more creativity.
It is. And here's the really good news. This isn't just theoretical. As you consciously, deliberately practice turning on that interest, curiosity, using, watching things being made, playing toxic bingo, interrogating thoughts with the kind detective, the neural pathways get stronger.
Like building a muscle.
Just like building a muscle,
Yeah.
the pathways between worry and wonder start working more smoothly. They become more abundant. And often they start to actually displace the anxiety pathways.
So you're not just managing anxiety, you're replacing it.
In a way, yes. You shift from that rhetorical victim stance question, "Ooh, why is this happening to me?" to thinking like our kind detective. Okay. Why is this happening to me? What's actually going on here?
That subtle shift from rhetorical despair to genuine inquiry.
That's the whole game. That reframing repurposes all the energy you were spending just worrying. It turns the anxiety itself from a dead-end stressor into a potential catalyst for discovery, for meaning-making.
So it takes us beyond just feeling calm, which is nice, but into something more active, more courageous territory.
Absolutely. It builds resilience and opens up possibilities, which leads perfectly to this final thought, a quote from the Irish poet James Stephens. He wrote something quite profound. Curiosity will conquer fear even more than bravery will.
Wow. Curiosity over bravery.
Think about it. Bravery often means gritting your teeth and facing the fear head on. Curiosity finds a side door. It changes your relationship to the fear.
It makes you want to edge closer to understand it, rather than just fight it or run from it.
Precisely. So the final question for you, the listener, is how far will you let your curiosity take you? What doors might it unlock if you really